Alright guys, what's up, it's Zertic here, and today I have a Royale video for you guys because I've been having so much fun on this game, and I've been streaming it every day. So, just before we start the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Okay, so today, if you clicked on this video, you want to know which class you should run in Royale. Whether you're new or you're kind of a seasoned veteran at this point, but, you still may be confused on which class you should run. So first we're going to start off with the Warrior. The Warrior, I think, has the best movement abilities and, can use them to his advantage the most. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the Heroic Leap. The Heroic Leap starts off with 375 damage when it's the base ability, and then when you move it all the way up to Legendary, it can do up to 600 damage, which is a whole lot of damage when you just jump on somebody. And then the next ability I would say is a must-have is the Shoulder Charge. Shoulder Charge is a really good ability that does 400 damage across the board, and the only thing that changes with rarity is the cooldown time. So essentially, if you use the legendary ability for the Heroic Leap and the Shoulder Charge perfectly, you can do a good 1,000 damage. So 1,000 damage is obviously a ton, and it'll really help you out in the long run when it comes to this character. The next things that the Warrior has to offer are the Net Shot, Flask of Healing, and Flask of Shield. So I would say that the Flask of Healing and Shield are the go-tos here because, one, they can protect you before you're in a fight or in the middle of a fight. The net is also not terrible, but it's not something that I use because, I just find the other two more useful. The net essentially slows someone down and does an initial shot of damage. But if you're going for a, run and gun type of game mode or gameplay, then I would say that the net might be the way to go. The next thing we're going to talk about is the Warrior's ability. So the Warrior gains 5 health per second, which is his unique ability that none of the other characters can do, making the Warrior the only character with a self-regen. Now, if you have a golden chest piece, you can also do this, but that's also stacks on top of it, so then you'll be getting 10 health per second, which is actually a really big deal in this game because, self-regen doesn't exactly exist. And now we're going to talk about his gun. His gun is actually really good, kind of his class weapon. It's not actually a gun, it's a throwing axe, and it does 900 damage, not including to the head, which makes it one of the better weapons in the game, and if you get it and you hit your shots, it's really lethal. So the next class we're going to talk about is the Assassin. The Assassin is a class that has a really high skill gap, but if you do get good with him, you're going to be a pretty lethal player. So the first thing that the Assassin can do is blink. Everybody has the blink ability, and it starts off with the white rarity. The only thing that changes with the rarities of the blink is the cooldown time, which is actually pretty big. It goes from about 15 seconds to down to 5. So if you can blink every 5 seconds and then you get a golden helmet, you can pretty much blink whenever you really feel like it. The blink ability is actually really good, and the next ability that I would usually pair with this is the Concussion Bomb. Concussion Bomb is a bomb that you throw at people that'll fly them into the air, but in addition to this, it does initial damage, which is actually huge because it ranges from about 175 all the way up to 600. So if you get the legendary version of this and you launch somebody for 600 damage in the air, you can usually shoot them with your class weapon and pretty much finish them off. So the other abilities that this character has include Ghost Walk. You basically turn invisible and you're invulnerable. And then there's another ability where he throws a smoke bomb, which is called Smoke Screen, and you become invisible to them when you're in the smoke, but you're not actually, so you can still get hit. But most of the time you don't, unless they're a pretty good player. And next thing to talk about when it comes to the Assassin is that he also gains 10% ground speed when he's running. So he's a lot faster than the rest of the characters. The Assassin's weapon is actually really good as well. It's a sniper rifle that does about 1,100 damage to the head. Not to the head, to the body. And to the head, it'll do about most of the health, but not all of it. So you can't really one-shot in this game. There's no weapon in the game that can currently one-shot, because I think Hi-Rez is actually trying to take that out of the game, which could be a good idea, but I think that you should be rewarded for getting a sniper headshot. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Moving on to the next class, which is the Mage. The Mage is pretty much the class in this game that no one likes to see, but everyone likes to play. Because playing against a Mage is one of the most annoying things that I've ever experienced personally when it comes to this game. Essentially, the Mage is the Mei of this game because, one, she can put up a stone wall that pretty much blocks off everything. She can't walk through it, you can't walk through it. It's honestly just super annoying. And then she can also turn herself into an ice block. This ice block heals her, and she becomes vulnerable because she does stay in the same spot, so you can kind of pre-aim, but a lot of the times she has enough movement to escape. The Mage's passive ability, well, it's not passive, but an ability that all of the mages have immediately that they can't change, is Flight. So she can fly around, and basically the rarity only changes the cooldown of it. So the Flight's actually really good because she can actually fly through windows, which makes it huge, and it's honestly a game changer. So the Mage has some of the best abilities and is really good. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Fireball. Fireball is probably the best ability in the game right now. It does 900 damage when you get to the legendary version of it, and honestly, it's ridiculous. But Hi-Rez has already said it's getting a nerf, so I wouldn't get too used to crushing kids with it. The next class that we have here is the Engineer. The Engineer is a pretty good class when you're playing with your team, but I wouldn't say it's the best class to play with when you're playing solo, because the Engineer has more of team-based abilities. So 1, he has a turret, 2, he has a deployable shield, and 3, he has a healing totem. The healing totem essentially heals people that are within its healing area. So it can be pretty good when you're playing squads and pretty good when playing duos. It's not too bad on solo, but I just wouldn't say it's the best thing to do. Not too much to the Engineer. He has a leap, which he kind of just jumps really high with, but can't actually do any damage. I guess it's ability to get away, but honestly, I don't really understand why it's in the game. Now, last but not least, we have the Hunter. The Hunter is actually really good because the Hunter has a longbow. Now, the longbow is worth mentioning, but the Mage and the Engineer's abilities weren't exactly. But the longbow is really good because of the fact that it does a whole lot of damage, and it's a pretty good weapon. So the Hunter is pretty much known for having a good weapon, and otherwise it's not exactly as useful because the Hunter's abilities aren't the best. They don't really let you move too often, and it's kind of just to get yourself out of a really tight situation. But otherwise, the Hunter is pretty much just known for his longbow. Now, if I were to mention it, the Mage does have a pretty good weapon as well, which is essentially just a bow staff that shoots out like little pellets, and those pellets do a whole lot of damage, and it can be super annoying. Then we have the Engineer's weapon. The Engineer's weapon is essentially a grenade launcher. It's called a plasma launcher, but it shoots out these little balls that do AoE damage, and it does a lot if you get hit by enough of them. So that's pretty much the rundown of all the classes. I would say that the best class right now is the Warrior, and then the Assassin once you get used to it. Then after the Assassin, I would say the Mage, and then the Engineer. Only because the Engineer is pretty much based more towards team play rather than, playing by yourself. So if you're playing with a team and you want to be a team player, I would play the Engineer. But if you're not new to the game and you've been playing for a while, Assassin might be your best bet. But that's pretty much it. And if you guys did enjoy, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button for more content on this game because I've been having so much fun. That's pretty much it. I'll see you guys later. Zertic out.